Hello, hello, hello. Start. Welcome to the paper analysis of a current affairs test by a mock test series by MVC Academy. Now here I'm not gonna give you any uh, tips and tricks and everything because let's be honest, they're not gonna work in UPSC examination. So this is Videesha and I've only said this paper. Now let's try to solve the questions one by one. I've seen your test responses. We got a lot of response over here. But let's try to honestly solve it. And also, I'm not going to explain the concepts behind it. So this is for the pros, not for the beginners. The first question was, రమేష్ నాకు బోర్డు కనిపించట్లేదు అస్సలు కనిపించట్లేదు లైట్స్ ఆఫ్ చేయవా ఇటు సైడ్ కనిపించట్లేదు ఇటు సైడ్ కనిపించట్లేదు ఇటు సైడ్ కనిపిస్తుంది లేదు ఇటు సైడ్ నుంచి అసలు కనిపించట్లేదు
లైట్ ఆఫ్ చేస్తే మనకు అక్కడ ఫుల్ డార్క్ వస్తుంది.
కొంచెం డార్క్ అయినా పర్లేదు బోర్డు కనిపించట్లేదు కదా ఏం చేస్తాం
ఇంతకుముందు కనిపించిందా?
ఇంతకుముందు కనిపించు Sorry for the delay. We are trying to set the board.
Okay.
No, I can't see. ఇక్కడ ఈ లైట్ ఆఫ్ చేయవా
డార్క్ అయిపోతాము.
అంటే బోర్డ్ కనిపించాను కదా చాలు నవ్ ఐ కెన్ సీ Sorry for the delay. So let's start solving the questions one by one. So the first question is about fiscal responsibility and budget management. FRBM is a PYQ. Also, I forgot to tell you, I've included PYQs also in this particular test. Okay, so you again tell me which questions were the PYQs. So the question is, with reference to the recent discussions on FRBM review committee's recommendations, consider the following statements. So you need to know about FRBM. You need to know that there is an FRBM review committee. Okay, it's all related to the fiscal responsible management of fiscal policy of India. Okay, now the committee recommended replacing fiscal deficit target with a debt to GDP target to enhance transparency. This actually happened. It's correct because fiscal target was a pretty broad thing. We were not considering previous borrowings. That's why you see in every government they try to blame previous government. Okay, no, they took so many borrowings. That's why our indicators are going down. So instead of that, debt to GDP target is a better indicator. Next, it suggested granting Parliament the power to modify the fiscal roadmap in case of national security or natural calamity. This was actually in play during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. So this was actually invoked. Escape clauses are there, not just in FRBM Act also. In most of the macroeconomic indicators, we have disaster clauses. So this is also correct. Now the third option is government's 2025 fiscal policy statements indicates an intention to align with these recommendations by 2028. So doesn't the statement look a little bit far-fetched? 2028 is just 2 years away. So this is definitely wrong. For a country like India, such short targets are not going to work. Now the second question is, it's about one nation, one election. Okay, one nation, one election, again a very important topic, something that the current government is trying to achieve. Now the question is, the proposal is again revisited by the Law Commission. It has been criticized on constitutional and federal grounds. Make a mains answer on this question I'm telling you. Now, what are these correct? Simultaneous elections would require amendments to Article 83, 172, 356 and the 10th schedule of the Constitution, right? I'll tell you, 83 is of the duration of Lok Sabha, 172 duration of state legislatures, 356 tenure of president, president's rule, and again 10th schedule is anti-defection. All of these, they need to be changed. You'll find all of this in Lakshmikant, you have to remember it. Next, it may undermine the constitutional principle of collective responsibility by fixing electoral timelines rigidly. Actually, they're here referring to whenever the possibility of governments falling. They're referring to the possibility of no confidence motion. No confidence motion is a weapon in the opposition hands to keep a check on the government so that they don't overstep their powers. They don't misuse their powers. So this could be compromised because now the government won't fear that their government can be fallen before in 1 or 2 years only. So this is a statement is correct. Now, it would necessarily require dissolving all state assemblies prematurely to synchronize with Lok Sabha's term. So this is a statement. Okay, here again people were confused because this statement, this statement was discussed. It came up in discussions. It came up in newspapers, but nobody, people don't support this. So that's the reason third statement is wrong. Okay, it will lead to chaos. It will lead to the breakdown of federal structure if third statement is supported. Now, the next thing is, okay, the finance ministry, it proposed public sector asset monetization program to optimize the use of brownfield infrastructure. There are different types of infrastructure, greenfield, brownfield. You should take a look at that, and public sector asset monetization. Basically, our public sector, especially the Indian Railways and especially Indian Railways and the power plants, everything, they have a lot of infrastructure with them. Everything needs to be monetized. Okay, monetized and modernized also. Now, which of the following describes the economic rationale behind it? Now, the question is why they are trying to monetize this. This is a good step in the direction. Now, let's see. It is intended to privatize all public assets permanently to reduce fiscal burden. No. If we do that, the government will lose its leverage. Okay. The private sector will be too powerful. Here, this thing talks about pure capitalism, which is not allowed in our country. Okay. The government, the people, public sector in the sense the holdings of people of India, they should always have a majority of holdings. Next, let's look at C option. It is designed to divest ownership of strategic public sector enterprises to foreign investors through competitive bidding. This is discussed, okay, like foreign companies, they taking they're developing our assets, like something like railway quarters. You know how railway quarters are. Most of you must have been born, raised over there. Making them better, making them more energy efficient. So foreign funding was discussed, but we are not talking about competitive bidding. Okay, we are talking about foreign investment in directly public sector assets. So we need to be very, very careful over here. Now, next, it's a temporary measure to offset current account deficits caused by falling exports. No, it's not a temporary measure also. We are trying to create a long source of income. Anything when it's related to infrastructure, it's not temporary, it's not short term. They plan at least for the next 50 years, even roads or anything. If not, the businessmen cannot justify that infrastructure. Now, the top answer is it aims to unlock the capital tied up in underutilized government assets. This is the most important thing. Even competitions are being, conducted. Like, it's just like government assets are there, adding solar panels to it, generating electricity to them. So stuff like that, that's what we're talking about, monetizing them in the sense, by leasing them for revenue generation without transferring ownership. I said that in the first point. Answer is B. Now, this thing is that, next question is statements regarding National Judicial Data Grid. judiciary, especially judiciary reforms, since past few months, the many intellectuals, especially the government, they are all fighting for it, they are calling for it, especially you remember NJAC. So judicial reforms are a very important topic. Now, it allows National Judicial Data Grid. What happens is that it allows real-time access to pendency and disposal statistics across all districts and high courts. Correct. Correct. It needs to be accessed also, because this is a very disappointing fact in our judiciary. The court pendency cases, it will take at least 90 years to solve. Next, it's a part of e-courts mission project under the National E-Governance Plan. Correct. E-courts mission project, National E-Governance Plan. You need to know this. Okay, people also got confused over here. Many people marked it wrong. Now, it provides predictive analysis for case backlog management, but excludes tribunals. No. No. It includes tribunals. Okay. Now, recently government introduced Jan Vishwas Amendment Provisions Act 2023. Jan Vishwas means Vivad se Vishwas. We are talking about tax benefits here. That should be the first rule. Now, it seeks to decriminalize minor offences in various laws. Yes, that is the most important rationale behind it. Minor financial offences that decriminalized, you won't be arrested anymore. Ease of because that's the nature of business, right? We can't expect profits right away. We don't know how businesses work. Most businesses run out of money in a short time and everything. So all that stress will be reduced and people will be able to take risks better. Now, it amends more than 180 provisions across 40 central acts, including those under environment and agriculture. It's true, and this is the most important drawback also, the criticism also of this Jan Vishwas Act, that environment and agricultural priorities are taking a backseat. Next, it transfers all adjudicatory powers to the judiciary. No, it is actually reverse. They are trying to make sure that you don't have to go to courts, you don't have to go to police stations. They are focusing on tribunals and alternative dispute resolution. This is the main focus on it. Okay. Now, RBS CBDC. This again I've discussed it yesterday only about CBDC in my current affairs class. Now, pilot, it has implications for monetary policy transmission. Consider the following assertions. CBDC can eliminate intermediary costs, improving efficiency in retail payments. Yes. CBDC is not online payment. CBDC is a separate currency, just like your 10 rupee note. It's like printing an extra 10 rupee note. That's it. It has a unique ID. It has a unique number also, just like another 10 rupee note. That's it. Now, it can directly affect monetary aggregators, altering RBI's liquidity management tools. People think that is wrong, but it is also correct, because see, monetary aggregators, I'll tell you how we come up with that this is correct, because monetary aggregators, they are also managed via different indicators. Okay, how do you tell monetary aggregation? Instance, inflation. So how do you tell that prices are increasing or something? So they look at consumer expenditure, they look at which business and which sector particularly is making more money, which sector is making less money, and all that stuff. Now with CBDC, it's easy to track. It's not like physical notes, no? It's easy to track where the money is going. So it will definitely affect monetary aggregators. So that's why it is correct. Okay, most of you have marked it wrong also. Now it ensures complete anonymity for users, similar to physical cash. No, this is not happening. Just now I told you that RBI can track this money. Yeah. Now, with reference to national monetization pipeline, consider the following statements. This is again from economy. National monetization pipeline has been in use for a few years. So you need to know these facts. It involves asset recycling and not outright privatization of public assets. Correct. Correct. Because you know why people were confused? Because the media time and again use this as a criticism tool that we are selling our country. We are selling our assets. We are not selling our assets. We are just recycling, and we are just reducing the burden on the exchequer. so that private sector and small businesses especially, they can take things, small things like, Indian Railways, the bed sheets and everything, small steps like outsourcing it to tribal MSMEs. They can have a huge impact on the Indian economy and upliftment of society as a whole. So we're not just talking about big companies over here. Next, the success depends on efficient regulatory frameworks and risk sharing mechanisms between center and states, which is correct. It excludes core infrastructure. No. Roads and power transmission, roads, railways, power transmission, core infrastructure is the key target over here. So this is wrong. Okay. Now, in the context of 2024 India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, I've covered this properly in my previous classes, so watch that video. Consider the following statements. Sorry. It aims to create an integrated trade route connecting Indian ports to Europe via UAE, Saudi Arabia and Greece. I need you to draw a map of all these ports. They're important from prelims point of view. Okay. Next, it is a counterbalance to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Yes, it is. Not just this, India's North-South Transport Corridor, that is also counter to a Belt and Road Initiative, and Quad. All of these are counters to China only. Next, it bypasses maritime routes entirely. No. In first point only I told you to make a note of the ports. Ports are very important. They play a key role in this one and INSTC. So much that they are trying to. There are many controversies are coming up again. The different countries' armies are getting involved. Ports are very important here, especially these ports. Draw a diagram. Make a note of all of it. Now, this is a new term, that's why I've given fiscal dominance. It it's appearing in news now about India's monetary policy. So, when it comes to statements like this, what happens is that if you don't know it, all options will look correct. See, it describes a coordinated framework where fiscal and monetary policies join and stimulate growth. Sounds good. Now wait. It occurs when monetary policy completely overrides fiscal decisions. It denotes a scenario where foreign borrowing replaces domestic fiscal spending. Or it refers to a situation where fiscal policy decisions heavily influence or constrain the autonomy of monetary policy. This is correct. For this, you need to know what is fiscal policy, what is monetary policy. Okay. Who is controlling what? One is controlled by RBI, one is controlled by the Parliament. Both of them operate differently. And this is the first chapter, literally first chapter of macroeconomics. Okay. So, fiscal dominance, this is the thing. Such questions are asked in UPSC. If you don't know it properly, leave it, because all the options, like this only, they'll give you all options will look correct, will sound correct. Don't try to do word play. You take any person who's explaining such questions, they'll try to do word play, like you decode fiscal, you decode dominance. That will not work in the examination hall. If you know, good. If not, leave it. Now, Supreme Court revisited Doctrine of Basic Structure related to Article 370 recently. So, I'm asking you to, what is Doctrine of Basic Structure? This is a very direct question. It limits the amending power under Article 368 by protecting the core principles like separation of power and judicial independence. Doctrine of Basic Structure, it's non-negotiable for this preparation. Now, this is another thing. This is one act that I've covered almost every other day in my classes. Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. It's very important because the nature of importance of data in India and importance of India's data to the world. It's just because Indians are heavily participating, no matter how stupid trend comes. That is the sole reason artificial intelligence is developing. Okay, you remember the Ghibli trend, everything. Indians have single-handedly contributed to facial recognition technology just by the stupid Ghibli trend. So, in that context, Data Protection Act is very, very important. It's going to be important for years. So, understand this. It grants individuals the right to correct, erase and restrict processing of their personal data. Yes, that's why it's important. Okay. It empowers Data Protection Board of India to impose penalties and educate violations. Correct. It mandates data localization of all personal data within India's territory. People have marked it correct, but it is wrong. We are not able to make this demand yet. We have to make this demand technically. Data localization is also a huge issue, but we are not able to make this demand not just in our legislature, even in talks also, in like India EU talks or India USA talks. We're not able to make this demand because we don't have that leverage yet. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the funding, we don't have the manpower yet. Okay. Now the next question is it's about SCO. It has strategic economic implications. Okay, let's see. It facilitates bilateral trade in national countries between national currencies. Yeah, that's why USA is so scared of SCO. You know, it's SCO has China and Russia, and they're trading in renminbi. So that's why US dollar is scared, because if this succeeds, the value of dollar will decrease, demand for dollar will decrease. Okay. It provides a platform to balance relation between Russia and the West amid global polarizations. Correct. Like this is again an inference statement. This could be a platform. Okay. Now people are confused about the fact that will Russia listen to or not. That's a secondary thing. It's a platform. It will provide a platform. So until then it is true. So you can mark it as correct. It binds India to military commitments under collective defense clause. Wrong. Actually, India is not here. India's military commitments are not here, and collective defense clause belongs to NATO, not SCO. Okay. Now, next question is about crowding out effect. Crowding out effect is that if inflation increases, the value of rupee decreases, and the investors will take out money from India. Simple. Now let's solve this. It refers to an increase in government borrowing that reduces private investments due to higher interest rates. Yes, inflation increases when again higher interest rates, which means yeah, that's it. When before the inflation and everything, government borrowing, it starts with government borrowing. Okay. It is more pronounced when economy operates near full employment. This is an interesting fact. It is actually true. Near full employment means, see, when it comes to economy, negative offsets are important to stabilize the economy. Like a certain percentage of unemployment is also healthy for the country. Near full employment is directly related to crowding effect. Please understand this. Next, it can be offset by expansionary monetary policy. Yeah, that's it. Expansionary monetary policy, which is lowering interest rate or increasing liquidity. Now, Government-Induced Public Examination, Prevention of Unfair Means Act 2024. Again, this is also important given the huge number of scam allegations in SSC CGL, in groups examinations, the scams and corruption allegations, and land for job scam, you must have heard of it. So in this backdrop, this question will be relevant for a while. Now, which of the following correctly reflects its key provisions? Okay. Central agency, it's not, it's National Testing Agency, not this. Delegates examination regulation to Election Commission of India. This is wrong. It's not going to happen. Mandates biometric attendance for all candidates in competitive examinations. This was suggested. Biometric attendance is suggested. But since we don't have the logistics, it's not happening. Now, criminalizes malpractice. This is correct. Organized cheating. There are underground organizations that are coming up. Okay, not just cheating, paper leaking. It's even, hiring people to write your examination instead of you. So, all this are criminalized, and, the punishment is increased. Now the next question is that it's static question only. The President of India can issue an ordinance when Parliament is not in session only if he or she is satisfied that the certain circumstance requires immediate action. This is directly from Lakshmikant. Yes. Now the satisfaction of president is justiciable in court of law. People marked it wrong, but it is actually correct because it came after an amendment. So yeah, the satisfaction of the president is questionable in a court of law. This came after emergency only. Now the Competition Amendment Act introduced significant reforms in India's competition law regime. Competition law, alternative dispute resolution, tribunals, all are important topics. Now, implication of these changes. Okay, this is an analytical question. You need to know the provisions, and you can solve this kind of question only if you have static plus current affairs knowledge. You need to know the provisions and you need to read it in newspaper every other day so that you will be able to understand how it is being applied. Only then you will be able to solve such a question. Okay, so let's solve it. It introduced a dead value threshold for mergers and acquisitions that may impact competition even when turnover is low. True. This is important to rule out shell companies, ghost companies and all that stuff. Next, it allows Competition Commission of India to settle certain cases through commitment and settlement mechanisms, which is the main point of it, because India is moving in this direction. This is important for ease of doing business. Okay. Next, it completely removes the CCI's power to impose monetary penalties in favor of only behavior remedies. No, actually it doesn't completely remove. The penalties are being reduced, and criminalization is, we are trying to reduce criminalization of such things like the jail term and everything, so that there is ease of doing businesses, because it is the nature of businesses, they go bankrupt all the time. Okay. This is also to attract FDI in India. Now, Reserve Bank of India's integrated ombudsman scheme. You know what an ombudsman is, right? Like it's a grievance redressal scheme. Now, regarding this, it integrates the existing ombudsman schemes for banks, NBFCs and payment service providers under one platform. Yes, this was a very big problem also. Everything has a different ombudsman scheme and everything has had a different hierarchy. Now, all of them are united. Now, RBI's ombudsman orders are legally binding and cannot be challenged in court. Wrong. They can be challenged in court. Now, it allows complaints to be filed through a centralized digital portal managed by RBI only. Correct. Now, reference to model code of conduct enforced during elections. This is very important, especially Bihar's election is in the news. Bihar is going to be a game changer for center also. So, model code of conduct, that's why I've given you this question. Now, it has statutory backing under the Representation of People Act. No. Model code of conducts are rules released by Election Commission of India. It does not have a statutory backing. Now, Election Commission can direct the postponement of schemes. Yes, unduly influence voters. You remember just before the elections, they conduct government exams, they give reservations, everything happens just before the elections. But again, if it is too near, Election Commission can mandate its postponement. Violation can lead to disqualification. No. Under Article 102, it's like office of profit if you are violating it, or you know, yeah, that's it. It's for grave, or if you are convicted in criminal cases, for that 102 is not model code of conduct. Model code of conduct is not a criminal offense also. Yep. This question is debt for climate swaps. People who have watched my videos, I talked about monetization of climate change, monetization of environment in so many classes. You would have solved this question by now. Debt for climate swaps has prominence in developing countries. Okay, what happens is that if a developed country says, okay, I'm not cutting my emissions, because emissions are, we are using these coal and you know, we are not going to green technologies because they're powering our factories and everything, because of the costs and everything. So it is important for industrial sector of every country. Now what developed countries are doing is that they said that, okay, I'm not going to cut my emissions, I'll give you money, you save your environment, you compromise your development. That's what's happening here. It involves converting a part of a country's external debt into local currency obligations that fund climate-friendly projects. Yes. The pros and cons, I've analyzed this in my videos. Please take a look. In the context of National Statistical Commission, this was in the news. There are many editorial articles regarding it, because National Statistical Commission, I've analyzed them, they're the need of the hour. Many articles are there on it. Don't neglect this topic. Now, NSC is a statutory body under Statistics Act 2008, correct? It is responsible for ensuring data quality, credibility, and independence of official statistics. Yes. Yes. Now, this is taking new shapes in the digital age, where data is exponentially being produced, especially from India. Now, it has the power to approve release of national level survey reports. Nope, 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 nope. We need government clearance. We need government clearance, and sometimes committees are also constituted for this. Next, we are talking about 16th Finance Commission. Arvind Panigaria, right? 16th Finance Commission has been tasked with examining vertical and horizontal devolution. So you must know this Finance Commission. It decides how it decides the center-state financial equation. So vertical devolution and horizontal devolution. These are two important topics. How it is distributed among states and between state and state. Now, relevant to its functioning. Okay, let's see. Impact of demographic shifts and urbanization of fiscal transfers. Yes. Evaluation of states' debt sustainability and fiscal discipline. Correct. This was forced especially by the southern states. Okay, they're saying that we are managing our population better, we are giving you better statistics, but still you're not giving us enough money. So that's why these are involved. Allocation of GST compensation cess beyond 2026. Correct. GST compensation cess is again, it's a controversial topic. Okay, it was supposed to be finished by 2020. In 2020, we got the pandemic, so it's again postponed. Yeah. With reference to the parliament, which of the following parliamentary committees? Yep. This question is directly from Lakshmikant. You need to know it. Do not make guesses, because all the options look alike. Okay, this is where you get into negative marks. I'll tell you why. Now the question is reference to Parliament of India. Which of the following parliamentary committees scrutinizes and reports to the House whether the powers to make regulations, rules, sub-rules, etc. conferred by the Constitution or delegated by the Parliament are being properly exercised within the scope of such delegation. So what they're saying is that all the their power to make rules, regulations, sub-rules that is conferred by the Constitution, or if it is delegated by the Parliament, are they doing it well or not? Okay. Now the thing is, every option looks correct if you're not looking at this answer. Every option looks correct. Rules Committee, Business Advisory Committee, I think people will eliminate easily. Okay, these three options look correct, but the answer is Committee on Subordinate Legislation. So don't try to do wordplay over here. This is how UPSC frames the question. Okay, at most you will be able to eliminate one option. That's it. That's how UPSC is framing prelims question. So you find a question like this if you know, well and good, and you will know it if you read Lakshmikant properly. Okay. If not, don't try to do any experiments. Committees is a very important topic. Next, the foreign trade policy replace the previous system of export incentives, focus on facilitation. Okay, so increasing India's exports is one of our major goals. We are doing everything we can to make the transaction smooth. Now, we are asking about the features over here. It promotes rupee-based international trade settlements to reduce forex dependence. Yes, most important point over here. This is also directly challenging the US dollar supremacy. If we succeed in it, our forex will greatly decrease. It eliminates all export-linked tax incentives in compliance with WTO rules. No. And this is a problem also, which is cited by WTO. It has very high standards for us and we are not maintaining it. But we are trying to reach those standards. Okay, that's why it's wrong. Introduced an online system for exporter certificate and duty remission. Correct. So this is a great step. Now it will even allow you sitting in your home to produce some goods, and it will allow you to trade. Okay, that's how important it is. It will reduce the corruption in the system also. Now the term is public key infrastructure. There are certain terms: critical infrastructure, digital public infrastructure, public key infrastructure. All of them are in the news. All of them are in the PYQ. You need to know their proper definitions. Okay, don't try to do wordplay or guesswork over here. If you don't know the definition, leave it. Because like I have given over here, UPSC, all the 4 questions will look like right answers. Now, the answer is digital security infrastructure for enabling internet-based transactions. Yeah, this is the context, public infrastructure. It refers to cryptographic frameworks. Again, digital public infrastructure, critical infrastructure, they are again broader topics. Okay. People will think it is financial system or data centers and everything. Again, that's why I told you, don't do any guesswork over here. Next question is about guidelines for groundwater extraction by CGWA. This is important since the British times. Groundwater policies, since civil service examinations in the British times, from then it's an important topic. Now, the farmers who use groundwater for irrigation are exempted from obtaining no objection certificate. No. No. You know why? Because there was a point of time where every other politician was promising free groundwater to farmers. And that has created serious exploitation of groundwater. It has become such a huge problem. Now, farmers should also get no objection certificate. Now, the next option is industries and mining projects must undertake mandatory water audits. Correct. They have to. These guidelines are issued under the Environment Protection Act. Yes. Not CGWA Act or Water Act or other Pollution Act. This is also a little bit tricky because we have other acts also. We have Air Act and everything. Not just this. This has come in PYQs also many times in match the following everything. It's pretty tricky question. So that's it. Thank you for participating in the live session, and thank you for writing this test paper. I hope you found it useful. So it's not just about the test paper, it's more about the topics. Okay, so make sure that you go back and you make thorough notes on these topics. Understand? I'll see you in the next test analysis. Thank you so much.